Hello there, and welcome. Well, today I'd like to talk about online resources. One of the things that young people are always going to be struggling with and required to look at is online resources. And I believe this starts relatively young, but I'm definitely going to aim my talk today about the range from junior high through college. When you're talking about online resources, one of the things you're discussing is, can students judge these resources and can they properly credit them? So, the first thing for you to do to try to decide how you want to instruct them in this skill is to go ahead and try to do just a few assignments of your own the way you would have them do it, so that you can model that to them. So, I suggest letting them pick a topic. This can be done a number of ways. You can come up with a topic list that's specific to your class or to the unit that you're teaching, or you can actually just make it open. Say, pick a topic you would like to learn more about and have an opinion on, and let the students suggest topics they would like to do. Now, one of the things that I did when I would do this, when I would give them an open topic to look at, is I would limit the number of people who could look at the topic. Mainly, originally, when I was much younger, was because there were a limited number of books in the library that they could access. And so if I had a bunch of kids on one topic, the texts would run out and there would be a big dispute about, I can't get the book I need to do my writing. So, what's beautiful about online is you'll never have to contend with that. The big thing you'll have to contend with is, can students tell the difference between a good online resource and a bad one? And can they cite it? And can they discuss it with you in a way that's useful? So, the first thing you might do is develop your own set of online resources that you find valuable. Sources that you think are important and work for your class. I did this with my college freshman comp by using Oye, the website, the official website of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court puts up recordings of all their hearings, and they also publish a transcript of those recordings, and they publish the decisions that involve the counts. They have specific titles, and certainly AI could help a kid sort through those if they wanted to talk about like a Supreme Court subject. One of the things that I had my kids write about that really yielded some good stuff was on eminent domain, when the government takes property from a private owner. So, develop your own online resources, write up citations for those resources, and show the students how to do so in class. There are websites available that will generate citation bibliographies for these things, and you can show the students that, how to use that tool and how to make sure it's used properly. All of those things are great. The second thing you can do is actually have them rate 3 sources. Let's say a student says the only thing he's interested in is anime. It's tricky, right? So you might say, okay, I want you to write about Japanese animation. And I want you to find 3 sources that discuss the first important Japanese animators in history. Now, on those 3 resources, they must be online. They must be a different type of online source. Like there could be an article from information articles, like from Wikipedia. You can cite Wikipedia, although I highly recommend that the students use the citations at the bottom of the Wikipedia page to go to the original authored articles that often depend on Wikipedia as resources. They can be a podcast, it can be a YouTube video, it can be a TikTok. All of those things can be cited. So And students can evaluate whether they're credible or not. And this can take just a half a page. But by giving them this challenge, you introduce something in. You introduce the reality that you can use any resource you like as long as you give it credit. The problem that many students have is they are afraid or feel too lazy to actually encounter what they need to do, to learn what they need to do. But if they're given the opportunity to write about something that's valuable and important to them, then they're less likely to cheat. They'll still be tempted, but they're less likely to. Finally, teach them how to make citations of lectures in your class or classroom meetings or discussions. If you do that, if you teach them how to do that, then you can require them to write about those things. And that can be profound. By requiring them to cite sources, including your class, they begin to see that information and ideas are part of their life. They just don't necessarily become aware of it. So teach them to do that. If they share with you their resources, you can share with them yours. And as long as everybody's open and above board and honest, there's going to be less temptation to cheat. It still will be there. And there are things that I'm going to talk about next Monday about dealing with that cheating. But you can still do it. You can still deal with the cheating. And more importantly than the cheating, you can get them to understand how to evaluate online resources for their credibility and for their value. And wow, what a thing that is to know. To be able to judge an online resource for its value. If they can articulate that, they'll be well on their way to entering this information age much more well equipped to judge in a rational way what they're looking at. That's it for today. I hope you have a glorious rest of the day, and I hope you see me soon, you gorgeous people.